Um, so I'm going to talk about mompreneurs. How many moms do we have in the audience today? And dads? All right. So let us begin by all of us moms and dads in this room by acknowledging how lucky we are. We are lucky because we have kids, children who fill our life with joy and bring fulfillment to our personal lives. We are very lucky because in our professional lives we have great careers to look forward to. We are lucky that we are sitting in this room today with like-minded people and sharing all this wealth of knowledge. And thanks to IIM Network that we can absorb so much, probably a year's worth of knowledge in a day today. So I'll quickly walk through what is my understanding of mom entrepreneurship. What has the journey been? I've been one, so I'll share some of my experiences and then the challenges that I've encountered in this journey. So what is a mompreneur or a mom entrepreneur? Pretty simple, right? They are the entrepreneurial women who build successful businesses while raising kids to enormous success. My first experience of meeting a mom entrepreneur was my mother. She started a design boutique firm in a small town called Ranchi, and today over the past 25 years she's toiled for it, she's built it, and today it's one of the most well-known design boutiques in Ranchi. So kudos to her. And the fact that I'm standing here on the stage having the privilege of addressing all you smart people is testimonial to the fact that she's succeeded as a mom as well. Mompreneurship is big business. As per a recent research report, 48% of women under the age of 30 fall out of the workforce in India. And the biggest reason for that is that they have children and they want to dedicate their lives, probably at least a portion of it for the next 2 years, to raise those kids. And that is where the chance for being a mompreneur comes in. That is the scope that India has. But then, do you really think moms should become entrepreneurs? Do you think they can become entrepreneurs? Anybody who says no? Good, so I don't need to, spend too much time on it. Women are natural entrepreneurs, more so moms. The reason being that we have experienced multitasking at every stage. We've changed diapers while being on a business call, keeping an eye on the milk that's boiling on the gas. We are naturals at decision making. Every day, you wake up, there are 100 decisions to be made on the spot, unplanned. The maid doesn't turn up. You have to decide, what do I do? There's an important meeting at work. Should I skip? Should I stay back, look after kids? Can I call somebody for help? You have to do various decisions on the spot, and that's one of the biggest gifts that an entrepreneur has, to be doing successful decision making. What that brings, why even bother spending time doing all this? A lot of us, though not all, have the privilege staying at home, spending time with our friends, just taking care of the kids, having an easy life probably. What comes with being a mompreneur is satisfaction. You've created an identity for yourself, which is apart from your husband, apart from being called, I'm his or her mother. It's apart from being, I'm his or her wife. You can introduce yourself that I am this. Today in India, it's a sad fact that when we meet most women, the first question we ask is, what does your husband do? How many of us are asked the question, so what do you do? Especially when then, you're playing in the park with your kid. I've experienced that multiple times. And that's why, I feel the satisfaction, the fulfillment that comes in my life being a mompreneur is way more than had I just been a stay-at-home mom. And not to mean any disrespect to stay-at-home moms. They are a terrific job. In fact, I was one for some time, and I'll share that in the journey forward, which actually leads to self-actualization. I get to meet some fantastic people. I'm having a chance of, being amongst this elite group of people. And that's added a lot of value to me. I discover new things every day, stepping out in the world beyond my comfort zone of just being a mom. So what is the essential of being a mompreneur. In fact, what is the essential for being an entrepreneur? You need to think like one. And how does one think? What are the biggest thoughts in an entrepreneur's mind? How do you decide that you want to be an entrepreneur? Where does the initial spark come from? So I think one of the biggest things is you find an idea which you are passionate about. You know that there is something missing in this world and you can do that. The idea that you can actually create jobs rather than go out looking for one. I think that's a powerful one. The power lies in you. The challenges are there, you know. You need to be positive. As any of the many entrepreneurs sitting here can justify, the entrepreneurship journey is full of ups and downs. The journey of an entrepreneur is very lonely. You need to be strong. You need to be positive. That's the biggest message. Sorry, I think it's going, yeah. So, you know, identify what you want to do. Be positive, and there the power will lie in your hands. So I'll share a bit about my journey of, you know, how I've arrived at what I am today. The past year, which I spent at commonflow.com, where I was heading their strategy, I had the privilege of meeting a lot of startups and wannabe entrepreneurs as well. And I realized that they feel the mentors and all are there who can help them in taking their venture to success. But being a mentor myself at T Labs, I know that a mentor can do only so much. We have very limited time with our full-time jobs to spend with entrepreneurs. So I probably spend a couple of hours with some of my mentee companies, but I know that's not enough. I can give them direction, do this, do that. But after a period of time, probably a couple of months down the line, I realized that they are still at the same place. Reason being, nobody has held their hand in taking them forward. And that's the idea I got, out of which Castling Capital is born. It's just a 1-month-old company. And I want to focus on working with startups and making their progress much faster. So as somebody said earlier, if you want to fail, fail fast so that you don't spend valuable resources. You know when to pivot. As Vishal shared the lean startup method, the sheet that was there, I'm going to work with the startups, take them through each of the stages. You get your idea, you do the validation, how do you plan out, how do you raise funds, and become one of those powerful businesses that everybody wants to be part of. Growing up is the second part of an entrepreneur's journey, especially for moms. This is the area where you need to devote considerable time, considerable energy. How are you going to scale up? How are you going to get your product to the market? Who's the right audience for you? You do customer validation at this stage. And then comes the scaling up, which is raising funding, and you do advertising. So I would say with Castling Capital, right now I'm at the birth stage, moving on to growing up. I'll give you a brief background of where I started from. In 1999, when I was doing my undergrad, I started my first software company. And there the idea came. I knew nothing about business. I said, let me just jump into it. I have time, super passionate about the idea. I started that. 6 months down the line, I realized that I really don't understand business. There's so much missing. So talk to people, go to a B school. So I went to IMA, graduated in 2003. And there I got introduced to the world of finance. I said, wow, I don't know this. Joined a hedge fund from campus. Moved on to Goldman Sachs after a couple of years there. Proper, job, corporate job, high-flying career. Though not 9 to 5, more like, 9 to 11 in the night or something like that. And then the first life-changing moment came when my son was born. And I just knew I don't want to do this. I want to spend time caring for him. I had read multiple things on the internet which said, all those sentimental messages. Bachpan वापस नहीं आता है, their childhood is precious, be there for them. So I decided that I want to get out of this. I became an entrepreneur again. And I said that, I have an idea. But the mistake I did was I really didn't think through that idea much and just started. Didn't work out, fair enough. Got back again into a corporate job at Fidelity Investments. And then my second child was born. By then I knew, this just isn't going to work for me. I really want to be there for the two kids. Kids grow up, you need to spend more time with them the more they grow up. And then again, I went into business. This time, I spent a lot of time validating the idea. I trained myself, I became an executive coach, started an executive coaching company where I started working with like-minded people, especially women who were experiencing problems, with all these maternity policies and all that. It's not very friendly in India, right? There's so much more that can be done. And I think we have a panel lined up somewhere later in the evening which will talk about these issues. But I did that. And then during that journey, I met one of the co-founders of Common Floor, and I turned into a mom intrapreneur. So while I was working at Common Floor, I had the flexibility, I had all the privileges that an entrepreneur has. I could think of new ideas. So I would encourage all the mompreneurs out there or the wannabe mompreneurs, think about it. You don't need to always start out on your own, but you need to be in a position where you can think like an entrepreneur. You can demand flexibility. You add value. You do what you like, as somebody mentioned, doing what you like is what an entrepreneur does. You probably might not become the richest person on this earth, but the emotional fulfillment that you would get is unparalleled. And I say that from my experience. So it's the birth, growing up, scaling up. Think about, for the current mompreneurs, where are you at which stage? For those who aspire to be one, plan it out. Plans don't always materialize, but it's important to have a plan because then you can be prepared. The challenges, fairly the standard ones. The fear of failure that all of us have. Should I not, what if? Crush them, think through them. So I'll start at the lowest quadrant, balancing work-life. Now that's an issue which not just mompreneurs face, but all of us, even dads today I know, are equally passionate about spending time with their children. They want to fulfill their career aspirations and at the same time be there, have a bond with their children. But we all do it. You find a balance somewhere. Sometimes, so my mantra for that is sometimes it's work and sometimes it's life. Especially for women, I would say that please utilize your network connections. Today the world is connected digitally. It's very easy to get in touch with your classmates, batchmates, old friends from school. And I myself 12 years. Again, thanks to IIM Network for doing this. Use IIM Network as a platform to connect with other people. I think there's Connect Plus, which is a fantastic tool which we can use to connect post these sessions. Use Facebook. LinkedIn is one of the most powerful professional networks that is there, which allows you to connect with anybody across the globe. Women especially need to be a bit careful about their emotions versus the business goals. We are genetically wired to feel empathy towards everybody else. Sometimes in business that doesn't work. You have to be what is called ruthless, but then if it's for the bigger community, if it's good for the business, sometimes you need to do that. I mean, there's no other way out. And the last one, which I would say I'm not sure, how true that is today, but that's what I've observed, that women-led startups receive less funding. Reason being that people perceive that there is more risk attached to funding a women-led startup versus another one. And pardon me if that's wrong, if the scene is changing, but that's purely my experience. How you can mitigate that risk? Get a co-founder or more if you can. It also helps that when you have other duties to look at, somebody can pitch in for you and you can do the same for them as well. Fear of failure, overcome that. the idea is good enough, if you put in enough work, if you do the right things, you will succeed. Worst case, if you fail, there's nothing that's called as failing. Use it as a learning experience. What not to do the next time you start a venture. I'm not good at this. But all of us, even dads today I know, are equally passionate about spending time with their children. They want to fulfill their career aspirations and at the same time be there, have a bond with their children. But we all do it. You find a balance somewhere. Sometimes, so my mantra for that is sometimes it's work and sometimes it's life. Especially for women, I would say that please utilize your network connections. Today the world is connected digitally. It's very easy to get in touch with your classmates, batchmates, old friends from school. And I myself have seen this power. Today, I'm meeting some of my batchmates from IMA 2003 after 12 years. Again, thanks to IM Network for doing this. Use IM Network as a platform to connect with other people. I think there's Connect Plus, which is a fantastic tool which we can use to connect post these sessions. Use Facebook. LinkedIn is one of the most powerful professional networks that is there, which allows you to connect with anybody across the globe. Women especially need to be a bit careful about their emotions versus the business goals. We are genetically wired to feel empathy towards everybody else. Sometimes in business that doesn't work. You have to be what is called ruthless, but then if it's for the bigger community, if it's good for the business, sometimes you need to do that. I mean, there's no other way out. And the last one, which I would say I'm not sure, how true that is today, but that's what I've observed, that women-led startups receive less funding. Reason being that people perceive that there is more risk attached to funding a women-led startup versus another one. And pardon me if that's wrong, if the scene is changing, but that's purely my experience. How you can mitigate that risk? Get a co-founder or more if you can. It also helps that when you have other duties to look at, somebody can pitch in for you and you can do the same for them as well. Fear of failure, overcome that. If the idea is good enough, if you put in enough work, if you do the right things, you will succeed. Worst case, if you fail, there's nothing that's called as failing. Use it as a learning experience. What not to do the next time you start a venture. I'm not good at this. So my biggest learning has been how to overcome the challenges. And that's something which you'll discover on your journey. Some of the things that help me is being innovative. Think new ways of doing things that you've been doing. Challenge the status quo. Get your priorities right. That is critical. Whether it's business, whether it's your personal life, you need to prioritize. Surround yourself by like-minded people. That's where you get the energy from, to get going when the going gets tough. Surround yourself with like-minded people, people who will applaud your smallest success, people who will give you ideas, people who will give you energy. Always have a positive attitude. There's a cliche, the attitude determines what you become in life rather than the aptitude. And I totally subscribe to that. So thank you. I'm here. Feel free to ask any questions. And with this food for thought, I'll let you proceed for food for the physical body. Yeah, thanks.